Ron Howard, always the calm center of chaos, once said, "You wouldn't believe what those legends did when the cameras stopped." To him, Hollywood's golden age was a world built on silence, cruelty, and exploitation, where fame shielded the worst of behaviors. Errol Flynn, Hollywood's swashbuckling hero, is a prime example. On screen, he was the perfect adventurer. Off screen, he was a predator. Flynn's charm and stardom couldn't hide his darker side: alcohol, addiction, and an infamous trial in 1942, where 2 teenage girls accused him of statutory rape. Though acquitted, his behavior worsened, and he bragged about his conquests in private letters. Howard saw it as a lesson. Hollywood could protect monsters if they smiled for the camera. Flynn's life ended in 1959 at just 50, from heart failure, cirrhosis, and ulcers. But Howard believed he died as he lived, taking everything and giving nothing. His story became a blueprint for Hollywood's moral decay. Kirk Douglas, another Hollywood icon, was a walking contradiction, preaching honor on screen while spreading fear off it. Famous for his role in Spartacus, Douglas was known for his violent temper and abusive behavior, especially toward women. Rumors of his involvement in the 1950s rape of Natalie Wood, which resurfaced after her death, were buried by Hollywood's protective machinery. Even after his death in 2020, the controversy remained, highlighting a painful truth. Some legends built their legacy on fear, not brilliance. Faye Dunaway, the queen of cruelty, proved that evil in Hollywood didn't always come through violence. Behind her beauty and brilliance was a ruthless ego that crushed everyone around her. Her rise to fame was meteoric, but whispers of her tantrums, cruelty, and mistreatment of crew members spread across the industry. Faye Dunaway's Mommy Dearest co-star Rutanya Alda once said, "You could feel the fear on set." Everyone waited for her to explode. Ironically, while playing Joan Crawford, a woman infamous for cruelty, Dunaway mimicked the same behavior. Director Frank Perry even considered quitting due to her violent outbursts. She threw objects, screamed at makeup artists, and demanded lighting that made her look divine. Ron Howard later pointed to her as an example of how an actor's need for control can become emotional terrorism. The stories only grew. On The Wicked Lady, Dunaway allegedly slapped a cameraman and spat on a crew member. On Don Juan DeMarco, she humiliated assistants until production halted for a day. Her former manager, Jay Bernstein, said, "Faye doesn't just play divas, she becomes them." By the 2000s, her reputation caught up with her. Directors refused to work with her, claiming she was unmanageable. In 2011, after being fired from a Broadway show, she blamed everyone but herself. When asked about her legacy, Ron Howard said, "She chased perfection so hard, she forgot compassion." Dunaway's downfall was slow and inevitable. Once a star, she became isolated, avoided even at retrospectives of her films. For Howard, she symbolized the cost of cruelty. Talent without empathy eventually destroys itself. Power without grace turns to poison, he said. John Wayne, the tyrant of the West, was another Hollywood giant. To many, he was the embodiment of America, the fearless cowboy, the soldier, the man's man. But to Ron Howard, the reality behind that rugged image was darker. "When I learned what he was really like," Howard reflected, "I stopped seeing the hero. I saw the bully who wore his country like a costume." Born Marion Morrison in 1907, Wayne rose by projecting an image of unshakable masculinity. By the 1950s, he wasn't just an actor, he was an ideology. He saw dissent as weakness and progress as betrayal. On set, he ruled with intimidation, cursing technicians and demanding loyalty. Christopher Mitchum said, "When Duke was angry, the air froze. You either agreed with him or you were gone." Howard later called that atmosphere fear pretending to be discipline. Wayne's cruelty extended beyond the workplace, belittling women and mocking indigenous and black actors. His 1971 Playboy interview, in which he made racist and divisive statements, resurfaced years later, sparking outrage. On the set of The Searchers, Wayne clashed with director John Ford over the portrayal of Ethan Edwards, a racist character. Howard later studied that performance and said, It's terrifying because you can't tell where the role ends and the man begins. Even in his final years, weakened by cancer, Wayne never apologized. John Wayne, the icon of American masculinity, died in 1979 at 72, still celebrated as a hero. But for filmmakers like Ron Howard, his legacy became a cautionary tale. "Power built on prejudice doesn't age into wisdom," Howard said. "It curdles into bitterness." The myth survived, but the man behind it never deserved the legend. Roman Polanski, the exile of shame, represented the truth Hollywood refused to face. Brilliance can coexist with evil. Howard admired his films before he knew the truth, but realized talent doesn't absolve someone. Sometimes it hides them. Polanski's rise was meteoric, with films like Rosemary's Baby making him a genius. But in 1977, he was arrested for the sexual assault of 13-year-old Samantha Gailey, pled guilty, and fled to France, leaving Hollywood divided. For Howard, the industry's response was devastating. "They spoke of art while a child's life was broken," he said. Polanski won an Oscar for The Pianist in 2003, but Howard refused to stand, thinking of the victim. Even in 2020, when Polanski won France's César Award, Howard saw it as justice arriving late, but not too late. To him, Polanski's story symbolized Hollywood's hypocrisy, a system that protected artists while abandoning victims. "Hollywood forgives anything, as long as the lighting is good," he said bitterly. Mickey Rooney, the man who embodied charm, represented Hollywood's illusion that charisma could erase cruelty. For Howard, discovering Mickey Rooney's true nature was a shock. He was the face of joy, but behind that smile was misery. And worse, he spread it. Rooney, Hollywood's first child star, lived a life marked by multiple marriages, gambling, and cruelty toward those who loved him. His toxicity deepened behind closed doors. In 2011, his wife and stepson were accused of financial abuse. Judy Garland said he could make you laugh one moment, then destroy you the next. By the 1960s, his career collapsed due to addiction and scandal, yet he blamed everyone but himself. When Rooney died in 2014, his estate was worth less than $20,000, and friends had to fund his funeral. For Howard, Rooney's story was the final piece in a pattern. He made the world laugh while he was dying inside. These stories for Howard weren't about revenge. They were about revealing the truth behind Hollywood's brightest stars. Hollywood's golden age wasn't made of gold. It was built on silence, exploitation, and shattered lives hidden behind the glow of fame. As Ron Howard once said, "The scariest monsters aren't in horror films. They're the ones the spotlight protects." Which of these 6 stars shocked you the most? The predator, the tyrant, or the smiling liar? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold stories from Hollywood's dark heart.